Hi, my name is Niall O'Connor, so I'm the Centre Director now for SEI in Africa. I think there's a lot to excite about moving back to Africa, but also working with research across a whole host of areas such as climate change, water scarcity, water security, gender and inclusion in the region. I think there's a lot of interesting science that can be done to support policymakers. I think there's a lot of commonalities around climate change and the impacts of climate change, both on vulnerable communities, on urban development areas, on the impacts of climate change we're seeing across the board, whether it's on changing agricultural practices due to droughts and floods. So a lot of commonalities with what happened in Asia is happening in Africa. Where we see a difference is the pace of change in Asia as opposed to maybe the pace of change in Africa. And what have we learned in Asia over the last 10 years that we can bring and see how it works in the African context. But we need to do that with communities in Africa. We need to learn together what their constraints are, what the challenges are, and see how we can map out that with the learnings from not just Asia, but across the world. I think I always feel that I'm a guest of a nation, so I like to understand the context. I like to get in touch with the communities, with the partners, whether that's academia or civil society, the government, and even the private sector, to really understand the context locally. It's very important that we do this journey together. It's not that I come in with an idea and say we should do this, but I need to listen and understand that context, come together to co-design ideas and projects, to co-design the approaches that we want to take to create sustainability. And I think it's really, that's invigorating in many ways because you learn so much from new cultures, from new people. So I'm kind of excited about how we're going to expand on that across Africa. I think a lot of work at the moment is in East Africa. I want to see how we can expand that across other, let's say, other countries within Africa. But it's important that it's a joint process. It's not SEI, it's SEI with partners. I think the main thing that we bring to the table is evidence-based science through our scientific work with partners and with the communities, with the key stakeholders, understanding the context in which we're operating in as well, to make sure that it's seen from the various points of views of the different stakeholders, looking at evidence-based science methodologies to understand the situation, how we can learn together, how we can use empirical science to give us good advice, how we can use that advice to support policy decision making, and how we can work with those policy decision makers. One important aspect also is that we're not there to profit out of this. We're not there to push a particular point of view. We want to use evidence-based science to be the deciding factor. So we provide that to you, and then you as a decision maker decide what you want to do. I think there's potentially quite a lot, and probably more I'll figure out once I spend more time on the ground. But areas that we really need to focus on are the climate and the climate change itself and how that's impacting people and how that's impacting communities. Looking at transboundary climate risks, how decisions you make in one country can impact a second country, and clearly that looks at water management across boundaries. We'd like to look at the circular economy and look at how we can create sustainability amongst the prospering businesses across Africa. We want to look at the energy transition sector and see how maybe mining and other components of the industry are impacting in Africa. How do we create kind of knowledge and evidence-based science, sustainability in these areas? There's so much that you can learn from other communities, and if you stop sometimes to think of the way of life, maybe there's a lot of learning we can do with communities who come together to build resilience. There's a lot of learning about indigenous communities' approaches to agriculture, about the way of life that we need to stop and think a little bit. It's not always that we have to bring in a Western methodology to solve a problem. We have to integrate that with local knowledge, local understanding, the local context, and together find a solution.